Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Nos programmes offrent plusieurs langues. Veuillez visiter suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Nuestros programas ofrecen varios idiomas. Visite suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Манай нэвтрүүлгүүд олон хэлээр гардаг. Зочлог хаяг suprememastertv.com ташаалуураас schedule.
Since it appears that a lot of the parameters of our universe, such as the strength of the nuclear force and the amount of dark energy in the universe, all of those parameters appear to be finely tuned to allow the existence of life. If some of those parameters were a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller, then we don't think that life could evolve in our universe. And the question is, why is that?
Discovering the creation of the universe and the divine. Interview with Dr. Alan Lightman, part 2 of 3. Continue watching to find out more.
Yahweh means hello in Marshallese. I'm Felix. The people of the Marshall Islands are grateful for the magnificent stars that brighten the night sky and for all of your efforts to brighten the lives of others. Welcome to part 2 of our 3-part series, discovering the creation of the universe and the divine, with distinguished physicist, author, and MIT professor Dr. Alan Lightman. On today's program, Dr. Lightman tells us more about the origin of the universe and why certain planets, such as Earth, have the perfect conditions to support life as we know it.
There are two possible explanations for that. One is that the universe was created by some intelligence, some intelligent being that wanted the universe to have life in it and therefore chose these parameters, such as the strength of the nuclear force and the amount of dark energy, to have the right value to allow stars to form, to allow complex atoms to form, to allow the Earth to form, and other planets to allow life to form. That's one explanation. The other explanation is called the multiverse, and that is the idea that in addition to our universe, there are many, many other universes with different properties. Some of them have a nuclear force which is much weaker than the nuclear force in our universe. Some of them have a nuclear force which is much stronger than the nuclear force in our universe, and so on. And that in most of those other universes, life cannot start. But in some of them, the conditions are right for life. And we happen to live in one of the universes in which the conditions are right for life. And that explanation is very similar to the explanation for why it is that our planet Earth, which is only one of billions and billions of planets in the universe, why does it have the right conditions for life? You know, we have a nice atmosphere of oxygen, we have liquid water, so if we were further away from the sun, the water would freeze, and if we were closer to the sun, it would boil away because it would be too hot. Why are these conditions so favorable for the existence of life on Earth? And the answer to that question, scientists believe, is that there are lots and lots and lots of planets in the universe at different distances from their suns and with different atmospheres, and only some of those planets have the right conditions for life. We know, for example, that in our own solar system, our planet of 9 planets appears to be the only one that has the right conditions for life. So that explanation for why the conditions on Earth are favorable for life is very similar to the multiverse explanation of why the universe as a whole has the right conditions for life. That in fact, there are many, many other universes in which life never would have formed, don't have the right conditions. So you can choose which explanation that you favor. The accidental universe is like the Johnny Appleseed situation. Of course, you can ask who threw out the apple seeds.
Dr. Lightman explains that for life to exist, atoms are required. With even a slight alteration in this microcomponent, life as we know it will not have come into being. But where do atoms come from?
What we do think is that life requires atoms, and not just atoms, but large atoms, complex atoms. We can't conceive of any life that does not involve atoms, and you need stars to make atoms. All of the atoms in our bodies, except the lightest atom, hydrogen, all of those atoms, the carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, iron, all of those atoms in our bodies were actually made in stars, which is an incredible thought. If you could follow each one of the atoms in your body backwards in time, at one time it was part of the soil, at one time it was part of the air, at one time it was part of the ocean, then it was part of the gas that swirled around and formed planet Earth, then it was in outer space. Eventually it would have ended up in a star, because what stars do is they take the lightest atoms, hydrogen, which were there from the Big Bang, and they fuse them together to make larger atoms like carbon and oxygen. And then some of those stars explode, and those atoms are spewed out into space, and eventually they start drawing together and coalescing to form a solar system, which forms ocean and air and soil and eventually living creatures. So all of the atoms in our bodies except for hydrogen were made at the center of stars. We do think that atoms are necessary for life, even life very, very different from our own life. And therefore, we need the right conditions in a universe to make stars.
How fascinating to think that we all had our origin in the stars. We'll take a moment now to listen to an important message, and we'll be back shortly. Please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television. Brilliant viewers, welcome back to our program. According to the U.S. National Aeronautics and Space Administration, or NASA, everything we can observe, the Earth, the planets, the Sun, the stars, etc., comprises less than 5% of the entire universe. What makes up the rest? Scientists have determined that much of the remainder, roughly 68%, is what is called dark energy.
Dark energy is an energy that we have observed, and it's throughout the universe. It's everywhere, and it is a kind of gravity that unlike normal gravity, instead of pulling things together, it pushes things apart. So the dark energy that we have observed with our telescopes by measuring the way galaxies are moving, it appears that galaxies are accelerating away from each other as if someone is putting their foot on the accelerator pedal. They are moving away from each other faster and faster and faster. And we attribute that to this unusual kind of energy called dark energy, which acts like an anti-gravitational force. It pushes things apart rather than pulls things together. So we have observational evidence for this dark energy, and we can actually measure it, how much there is per cubic centimeter of space. We're not sure exactly what caused it, but we know that it's there in our universe. And just dark energy was discovered only recently in 1998. And before that, we didn't know there was any dark energy. We thought that the universe was slowing down in its expansion. But in 1998, we discovered that the universe is actually speeding up and in its expansion, and that was evidence for dark energy.
Dr. Lightman believes that science is never static, but instead is a work in progress. As new discoveries are made, scientific theories continue to change and evolve.
Yes, science is always evolving, and I like to think of science as an enterprise in which we are getting better and better approximations to nature. Every theory that we have in science will someday be revised as we discover new things about nature.
Dr. Lightman, a founder and chairman of the Harpswell Foundation in Cambodia, next talks about how this humanitarian project started.
Around 2003 or 2004, I was in Cambodia and I met a Cambodian woman named Viesna who told me that when she had been going to university in the mid-1990s, that she and other female students had to live underneath the building because there was no housing for female university students. The male students could live free in the Buddhist pagodas or safely rent rooms together, but those options were not open to female students. So Viesna and I came up with the idea of building dormitories for female university students. And I came back to the United States and raised the money to do that. And so the organization that I started to do that, called the Harpswell Foundation, has built a couple of dormitories for female university students in Cambodia. And we've also have developed an in-house academic program for these young women that stresses critical thinking and leadership.
Many thanks, Dr. Lightman, for enlightening us about the mysteries of the universe and about your inspirational humanitarian work. We wish you continued success and well-deserved recognition. For more information about Harpswell Foundation, please visit harpswellfoundation.org. Kind-hearted viewers, thank you for your company today. Please join us again next Monday for discovering the creation of the universe and the divine. Interview with Dr. Alan Lightman, Part 3 of 3, the concluding episode in this series. Coming up next is Positive Changes in Countries Part 16. Courageous Countries, Courageous Citizens. Cuba, Curacao, Cyprus, right after noteworthy news. May your heart be filled with the love of the divine, giving you both peace and joy.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule and suprememastertv.com/SS